And welcome back inside the world's worst movie theater on this eve before New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, everybody. Um, I would throw some. This place probably would be nice to throw some fireworks in there, so at least looks better than what it looks like right now. But yeah, I'm afraid for my own life. So, speaking of somebody who overuses explosions for his own purposes, let's talk about a movie that it's not by Michael Bay, but when you look at this movie, you really get to see what a Michael Bay knockoff really is. Because we talked about it last week, Zoom, but this is another one of those movies I probably should have known going in that this was going to be bad. Unlucky 13 on my list of the worst movies ever made. Just when you thought Michael Bay was bad at turning toys into action blockbusters, we've got the Peter Berg directed Battleship. Battleship is a movie in which, based off the classic Hasbro naval combat game, in which you have, if you've ever played Battleship, you basically have a story. You basically are just, you're each, you're basically playing Navy games. Like you play games, and it's been a while since I played it, but here's how they've taken this simple game and have turned it into a movie that is so bizarre, even more bizarre than me trying to explain the actual game itself. Based off the classic Hasbro naval combat game, Battleship is the story of an international fleet of ships who come across an alien armada whilst on a naval wargame exercise. An intense battle ensues over sea, land, and air. What do the aliens known as the Regrets want? Why are we even bringing up aliens in Battleship? This movie really had put me in a specific mood, a mood that I decided to try something different to express my feelings for it. All I can say to this movie is, thank you. Thank you, for Universal, for pulling off what you did, for trying to create your own Transformers franchise, and by greenlighting this, you've clearly proven that you've officially run out of film ideas. Thank you, Hasbro, for taking a board game that I loved playing as a kid in the 90s during a rainstorm and not even trying to come up with a good story. Thank you once again to Universal for putting out a trailer that doesn't even try to fool me to think that this is going to be great. The trailers you put out are plain and simple. The first trailer alone had me laughing for 20 minutes because you seriously thought we were going to take this seriously. Thank you, Peter Berg, for breaking your strong track record of films that you've directed. You were 5 for 5 up to that point. And then, this is a guy that directed Very Bad Things, The Rundown, Friday Night Lights, The Kingdom, Hancock. And you had to go ahead and take a big shit on that record, didn't you? But to be fair, as we later found out down the road, the movie Lone Survivor, which is another great movie from Peter Berg, that movie only got made because he was forced to direct Battleship. So if there's one good thing that came out of this movie, we got a really great war film in Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg. Great movie. You should definitely check it out. Back to my little soliloquy here, if you will. Thank you, screenwriters John Hopper and Eric Homer, for not only ripping off Transformers, you could have stopped there, but no. You just had to keep going. You also decided to rip off Independence Day, Star Trek, The Hunt for Red October, and you really thought you were going to get away with it, but I saw that coming. And thank you, Taylor Kitsch, for proving once and for all that you have the worst agent in the history of Hollywood. You were great on the Friday Night Lights TV show, but your movie track record has been complete and utter shit, from X-Men Origins Wolverine to John Carter to this. Either get a new agent or retire from film. Thank you to the rest of the cast for just sleepwalking through the production. I mean, once again, proving to me that you don't give a shit about this. Liam Neeson, Rihanna, I've seen them act before in better movies, but this is definitely not one of those movies. Thank you to the special effects artists for providing good special effects, but of course you forget the most important thing about special effects: they don't make the fucking movie. And most importantly, thank you, Battleship. Thank you for giving me one of the most painful and excruciating film experiences I had ever had in my 17 years watching movies at that point. You did it. You made a movie that was almost as bad or on the level of some really bad movies that we're going to get to later on here. I don't want to say which one yet, because I know we're getting to this one later. And I had to suffer through that one for 2.5, and I had to suffer through this for 2.5 freaking hours. Like, I'm glad to see nowadays we're getting past the 2.5 hour long movies in general, but back then, it was just so ridiculous that every single movie had to be 2.5 hours because there's so much stuff that did not need to be in movies like this. You could have you could make a good summer blockbuster that's under 2 hours, but when you go over that, your movie starts to go downhill faster than the metal yo-yos did in this piece of fucking garbage. So yeah, as you can tell from that, I really do not like Battleship. I really did. I mean, I knew going into this that this was going to be bad, but this was much worse than I think anybody could have possibly imagined. This really was one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. It's garbage. It's unnecessary. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time, too, if you got tortured by watching this. This is the kind of movie that makes you want to stop watching movies and reviewing movies in general. That's how much I hated this movie. This movie is garbage. Avoid Battleship like the plague. Unlucky 13 on my worst movies of all time list. So the next time I see you in here, we will have a brand new year ahead of us, and the movies are only going to get worse and worse from there. But if you want to hear what I had to say about Zoom last week, go ahead and check out the video in the corner, check out some of the other episodes I've done, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy New Year, everybody. Good night.